Welcome back to the Black Squadron podcast weekly episode of the Acolyte recaps. I'm BP. I'm back. I missed last week because of a wrestling event, but with me as always, Darth Mari and Todd.
Hello.
This is Mari's week. This is Mari's time to shine. This episode is dedicated to Darth Mari.
I'm thriving.
Yeah, we this podcast now exclusively headbutts lightsabers.
Has lightsabers with 2 kyber crystals in it. They're able to split. Easy peasy.
Lemon squeezy.
But yeah, this week's episode was, I think, what we were all waiting for with the Acolyte. So hopefully this is par moving forward. I know we still have that clip of Vanestra and her whip in that jungle, so they go back. So hopefully the next week and the week after that and the week after that and the week after that are also just as epic. But I suspect it's going to get a lot darker and sadder, depending on your point of view, of course. Sad for Todd, great for Mari. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop into episode 5. Todd.
All right, so episode 5 is titled Night, which we kind of speculate, or BP, you weren't with us last week, but me and Mari were kind of going back and forth. Like, I wonder what this episode might be named, because episode 4 was titled Day. So episode 5 was in fact titled Night, directed by Alex Garcia Lopez, same director for episode 4. So really, if you look at these 2 episodes, you can treat them as one long episode because they work perfectly together. One thing before we hop into the episode that I wanted to point out is that StarWars.com put out like an episode guide. They do these every week after an episode drops. And one thing that I thought was really interesting that they posted in that episode guide is that this specific episode and episode 4 were inspired in part by Alien, the 1979 Alien horror movie, and Predator from 1987. So the original ones, not any of the remakes or anything like that.
Yeah.
You can definitely, knowing that information and seeing the vibes in these 2 episodes, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Here for it.
So before we dive into this episode, we did this last week. Want to do it again this week. First word that comes to mind when you think of this episode and why. BP, will start with you since you weren't with us last week.
Epic. Absolutely epic. From the beginning to the end, edge of your seat. And I think I went, oh my God, like 4 times out loud. So yeah, epic.
Darth Mari.
All right, I'm gonna give you my real one, and then I'm gonna lead into another one. What?
So get ready for the bleep.
Yeah. Like, first one was incredible. Just all the visuals, the choreography, it's so beautifully done. I'm obsessed with this, and it seems like everyone's obsessed with this lightsaber battle, like all of them.
Yeah.
But the real word that comes to mind is arms.
Biceps. Forget Darth Joker, forget Darth whatever, it's Darth Biceps.
Darth arms.
Someone clearly didn't skip arm day at the gym.
Ever.
For me, when I think of this episode, first word that comes to mind is just intense. And I feel like we got that a little bit at the end of episode 4, but really this whole episode was just one intense moment after another. You didn't really know what was going to happen next and how things played out, what happened to who, stuff we're going to get into. It was a lot. And I did not expect Star Wars to go as dark as they did. This might honestly be some of the darkest Star Wars content like we've ever gotten.
Hands down.
Yeah. Live action,
across all mediums, across like comics, books, everything. This was a lot. So episode starts off right where we left off. Like I said, this is kind of like, if you look at episode 4 and 5, it's one long episode. You get an unconscious Osho waking up to see the Stranger. We've called him Darth Joker. I think the official name for him is the Stranger. That's what at least is in the credits. So we'll go with that. I'm sure he's going to have some other name at some point, which we can get into in a little bit. But he's killing.
When I was growing up, the Stranger was something different.
But he's killing all the Jedi on the strike team, so just mowing them down, except for Yor, Jeki, and Sol. I think the ease with which he was cutting through everybody was wild. Like
Your comment just made me think, if this stranger handed me candy, I'd go down.
What did she say?
But the stranger's mowing down all these Jedi. I mean, he's making light work of them, which is crazy because he's outnumbered by like 6.
Yeah.
Just
Go ahead. Fight, that battle between him and all of them.
Mm-hmm.
From Osha's point of view, I need the other side of the tree's point of view to get another view of that battle. Because Broseph was dominating Jedi in a row. Like, there's nothing they could do. He was just headbutting, whacking them with the hilt, just straight jabbing them, like no problem. It was so cool to watch. I need to see it from another point of view.
I loved, someone else said this and it had me dying laughing. I think it was John Hoey over at the Resistance broadcast, but he was saying like he's going to coin the term Darth Shish Kebab. Or Sith Kebab. Sith Kebab is what it was. Which, just the fact that seeing someone stab a Jedi and then use the Force to pull another Jedi into that and then decapitate both of them. I was like,
yeah, that was my first 2 oh my gods in that episode.
I was like, oh, we're going there with this episode. Excellent.
Mine was
yeah, it was incredible is the best word I could come up with for that season.
Yeah. One cool thing, and it came out afterwards. Originally, I think BP, you were the same as me. We thought that maybe this was Beskar, but the stranger's helmet and gauntlet were blocking lightsabers and also deactivating them. So the deactivating, I was kind of like, oh, that's a little different. That's not something Beskar does. Turns out it is cortosis, which is a rare metal in Star Wars. It's shown up in a few different things. It was in Legends, and then it's shown up in canon and a couple things. What was that?
It was in New Dawn, the first canon book.
Oh, okay. I know it's in Thrawn Alliances because that's like the whole premise of that is like the Separatists want to build battle droids made out of this material because they find a planet to mine it. Which, could you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would have definitely made episode 1 a lot different. Phantom Menace not this season. But before you want to talk, if you guys want an explanation of everything, it's what is it called? Cortosis. In every medium, John Jackson, author of New Dawn, posted a long post today on Facebook and Twitter, I think, saying where it originated with Zahn and then who else used it and what stories they're into. So you can trace it all over Star Wars just off of his post alone.
John Jackson Miller of Rescue.
Another cool thing, this again was posted with Star Wars' episode guide, is that the fighting style that the stranger uses is called Tricata, which is the whole style that you turn your lightsaber on and off. Didn't know that was the thing. Apparently that's also a Legends thing. So you cannot say that Leslie Headland didn't do her research. Like, I know that's a big argument that a lot of bad actors try to make, but the amount of like deep cut legend stuff that's shown up in this series is fantastic.
The lightsaber on and off thing is a whole like discussion I've seen on the internet. It's like, why don't Jedi do this? Because it would be so like, but there's a reason they don't. And Yord kind of mentions it, like he doesn't follow the rules.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was really cool that they named the style and he used it.
Yeah. Yep. So we're seeing all that play out from Osha's point of view. She stumbles. I noticed this. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but as soon as she gets up, she stumbles into that red dust that we saw last week. And I feel like that red dust is more important than kind of taking at face value. BP, we can start with you. Do you think that there's more to that red dust? Do you think it's just dust? I
feel it has to be. Why else would they make a point to show it to us multiple times? Like this episode, she like just flat out fell into it, and I'm pretty sure there's a reason for it, and I'm assuming we'll find out.
Darth Mari.
That was the exact same thought I had. Like, why would they show it to us very like pointedly if it doesn't have some sort of importance coming up? So
I was thinking more about it too, because when the end of episode 4, May's the first one to fall into it because she trips, and then Basil starts screeching, and then that's when all the Jedi come to Kelnaka's hut. And then obviously the stranger uses the Force to push all the Jedi, and you get the big cloud of red dust. And then Osha falls in it too. So I don't think that they would make a point of showing that 3 separate times unless there's something more. So maybe it's hallucinogen, which I would kind of hope that it's not. I hope that the whole episode wasn't just kind of a bad trip.
Maybe it was just to like kind of show that when you shuffle stuff around on the ground here, that's where that dust is, because you see the lines where he had shoved them back. You do see them very clearly in the ground. So maybe it's just a dusty undercovering and colorful. I don't know.
We'll see. I don't know. Like I said, I feel like there's been a lot of stuff that's had more meaning the more we've watched. So we'll see the next 3 episodes if maybe there is a little bit more to that red dust than we're letting on. Soul saves Osha from the stranger and then demands that he reveals his identity. But the stranger basically is like, hey, you know me. I know you. Like, come on, buddy. And then he runs away into the forest. I guess a couple things here for me is how they might possibly know each other. BP, do you have any theories if it's just maybe he just sensed that it was Kymir, or do you think that there's more to this?
I don't know. I feel like Star Wars is so ingrained into siblings that I wouldn't be surprised if they're related somehow, whether Soul knows it or not, based off how Jedi take children. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're just somehow related and they didn't take the stranger because they could feel or sense the darkness in him.
I never thought about that.
So it was the same tone I had. Yeah.
Really?
I was like, younger brother, like I don't know. Yeah.
Almost like, what if they're a dyad like Osha and May?
Multiple dyads.
The only person who sensed him at first was Soul, remember?
Yeah.
And he sensed him a couple times. Yep. So I just feel like they have a connection of some sort. That would make them, for Star Wars, that makes the most sense.
Yeah. That makes, I never thought about the sibling aspect of it. For me, it was maybe Jedi Master and Padawan, possibly. Like maybe the stranger, which we'll talk about later, his real identity, was Soul's original Padawan, and then he failed him. Or
he would have to change his complete identity, right? Because he met him helmetless in that shop.
Right. Yeah. That's maybe. Like there was no real familiarity with him once the helmet came off. Like it wasn't like, but like if they had been younger, like children when they were separated, then he might not necessarily. There might be that familiarity in sensing him, but no, the looks wouldn't give it. It wouldn't be a dead giveaway. So
yeah, Soul kind of looked at him the way I look at people trying to remember their names. And so.
The only other thing I can think of is that, and I think we might get more of it because there's still some flashback footage that we haven't seen that was shown in the trailers, which I'm assuming we're going to get in one of the later episodes. That maybe that fire that we saw in episode 3 and the destruction of the Witch Coven, possibly this Sith character was there, and that is how Soul and this individual know each other, is from Brendok. So that's my other theory. It's really cool though. I think that line specifically is really awesome. The way that the stranger throws kind of the hypocrisy of the Jedi back at them throughout this entire episode, I think is really well done. Specifically, I think this line I loved, but Soul asking the stranger what master hides his face from his pupil, and then the stranger's like, "You tell me."
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something's going to happen that's going to just devastate the Soul community.
Yeah.
Because what's one more community to be destroyed through the show?
Yeah, we're taking one by one here.
So we cut, like I said, the stranger runs into the forest to go find May. Jeki goes after May. May runs out of Kilnaka's hut, and then you see Jeki just absolutely from the top rope drop kick May. I know BP, as soon as I saw that dropkick, I was like, oh, BP's a big fan of this.
I love Jackie's style. It's so X-23. It's just aggressive.
Mm-hmm. So they kind of duke it out. Jackie's trying to arrest May. May's trying to kill Jackie, for lack of a better word. They're kind of going at it. And then the stranger arrives and kind of ends all that. And then May runs away. May's like, I'm getting out of here. I'm done with this. Like, get me out of here.
May's sole goal is to get away from this entire area.
Survive.
He's off planet. Yeah.
We get an interaction between Yord and Osha while they're running back into the ship, because Sol, after he tries to save Osha, is like, hey, get out of here, like go somewhere
to the ship.
And I love how Yord is like, civilian to the ship, like he repeats exactly the most Yord thing possible. He's like, oh yes, civilian, come with me please, while everybody's dying around us.
Yeah, we should bounce.
But like BP, you mentioned this while they're kind of running back to the ship. May, or Osha specifically, asks like, Yord, like, who is this person, like what are we fighting? And Yord is talking about the stranger, and he's like, I don't know, he doesn't follow the rules of combat, there's no method to his movements. And then this specifically was interesting, and I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on this. But he says he gets into your head and he stays there, which is something that we saw with the witches of Brendok, with Torben. What are your thoughts, BP? We can start with you.
I don't really know what to think about that, because even the stranger then said the same thing back to Sol. He's like, remove your helmet. He's like, so what? So you can get in my head? And I think he said stay there too.
So you can listen to my... No, he said, so you can listen to my thoughts? No.
Yeah, so no. I feel like their two force relationships are kind of... maybe they are related, because their force is very similar.
Because even like we've seen, I think you might be onto something, because even what we've seen with Sol, where like, remember when they're at the very beginning of the series, they're trying to track down the assassin, and he's interviewing the prisoners, and he's doing the whole like, mind stuff, but it's not really like a Jedi mind trick. It's like, you're going to tell me what I want to know kind of thing. Yeah. And then Chimere says when they're in the shop, are you going to do the Jedi mind wipe thing on me? Or don't wipe my mind, or whatever it is. So maybe Sol has some kind of power, like some specific force powers that
they might be related.
Could you imagine that twist?
Ugh.
I feel like most people don't see that coming. What if we just solved it? We solved it. We solved the Acolyte. Mari, what were your thoughts about sort of that whole idea of him getting in their mind and staying there?
I mean, at this point, we still didn't know who he was, right? Like, we hadn't seen his face. So they were trying to like trick us, like allude to this could be one of the witches, because Osha had seen it when she was younger. That was my first thought, was like, oh, they're trying to throw us off the scent, but I'm not falling for it. So that was my initial thought.
Interesting. I think for me, it's, I wonder when he would get in their mind, kind of thing. Like, is it while they're fighting? Because you don't see that. You hear Yord say it, but you don't see it actually happen. You see the stranger do it later when May's running through the forest and he's calling her like weak, coward, or I forget the exact things to say. So I'm wondering if he does that with the Jedi. So like he's fighting them while also kind of like trash talking them. It's like, you're weak. Like, get down.
He's like, get good, kid.
Yeah. Work on your Jedi skills. You trash, bro.
You're trash, kid.
So we see Sol and Jackie fighting the stranger. Like I said, the stranger comes to kind of hunt down May. And then Jackie senses it. It's like, hold on, someone's coming for me. And then he just yeets himself at Jackie. And then Jackie cuts away. Like, you get this really cool fight with Sol and Jackie fighting the stranger. Jackie basically takes her hilt and bashes the stranger's helmet off, because one thing with the specific metal, cortosis is that it is brittle, so it's very weak to, I think, blunt force hits, like actual like hitting it.
Yeah.
So that's why his helmet cracks in the back, is because it's really strong at deflecting energy, and the reason why it's able to short out lightsabers is because it basically takes the lightsaber's energy and shoots it back into the kyber crystal. But it's very weak to physical combat and physical hits and things like that. So
you can tell it's been mended a couple times.
Yeah, definitely.
Which we saw it in Rise of Skywalker too.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if that's Kylo Ren's helmet is made of that too. I don't feel like it is, but
I don't think
he smashed it up pretty well.
Yeah.
He's not a huge fan of it. So like I said, you got Sol and Jackie fighting each other. Jackie breaks the stranger's helmet, revealing who it is. But before we get to see who it is, we get to see Jackie's reaction. Very briefly, very quickly, Jackie's reaction to who the stranger is before she gets turned into a 3-hole punch.
Yeah, we can't. We're skipping a massive detail. Is that Mari mentioned at the top of the show? 2 kyber crystals and 1 lightsaber hilt that he can pull apart and just 3-hole punch somebody. That reveal was pretty gnarly. Because they were in a pretty good battle. I mean, from what we can tell, he's playing with her, right? Like, kinda.
I feel like he was a little caught off guard with just because Jackie goes for it. I mean, Jackie's throwing everything, and I think he's like, this is a Padawan. I can kind of,
he thinks he's just gonna cut her down. Yeah,
and Jackie holds up her own real well for someone that's so young.
She definitely used aggression there.
Fight
was the reveal was epic. Like, the reveal is all time. Like, it's Maul being revealed in episode 1 right before the Duel of the Fates, and then the stranger. To me, like, that's such a cool reveal.
Yeah, no, Jackie's death, I think, was one of the more brutal deaths, just because, like, 1 stab, sure, 3 stabs, you're like not taking any chances. You're saying this person's going down. We get the reveal. The reveal is Chimere. I think a lot of people expected this based off of the breadcrumbs that have been left throughout this series so far.
Absolutely.
From the mannerisms of Chimere when he's talking to Osha, to some of the things he says, to quoting the Sith code. Like, I read something, I can't remember where, that Leslie Headland wasn't necessarily worried about people figuring out that the stranger was Chimere, but rather the twist that she wanted was just how brutal he was going to be. So not that this is who it is, but this is who it is, and he's going to kill everybody.
He is a straight up murderer.
And enjoys it.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Like, he was there to do it.
Yep.
So really cool to see this fight. Real sad to see Jackie go, because especially with like the last episode where she had her whole quote about, like, we're defined by what we survive. And I'm like, well, sorry, Chief, you're not defined by anything. What are you defined by, Jackie?
You see, what had happened was
what it is also, I can't remember who posted this, but I saw this, and it also broke my heart that this probably would have been her Jedi trials had she lived. Like how Maul was Obi-Wan's trials. This would have been Jackie's trials.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right to the heart. Only 1 time though, not 3.
He
got both lungs and heart. Like, he
wanted no chances.
Yep.
Wanted to kill the absolute hell out of her.
Yep.
I do want to say we have a Discord. Feel free to join. Lots of great people talking Star Wars, talking the Acolyte. One of our Discord members, the Geeky Beast, said that Jackie was the light side MVP for this episode, and he blames Sol for what happened to her. I 100% agree with everything. Team Jackie, Sol, it can do wrong. I've always said Sol can do no wrong. Sol has done so much wrong. Sol from like here for me to like below dirt.
I don't want to forget the absolute savage comment that Chimere made after killing Jackie.
Yeah. So Sol obviously distraught at the sight of his Padawan getting decimated with 3 stabs. screams out. Chimere looks up very menacingly and says, what was the quote? I think was that her name? Was that its name?
Its
Was that
name?
its name?
I was
Savage.
Oh, oh.
I was like, did he just say it's? He said
Yeah.
it's. Dang.
Well, and then you get Soul trying to take kind of like the high ground, the moral high ground, like she was a child, and then again, like I said earlier, the stranger / Chimere throwing it back in his face, saying, "Well, you brought her here," and like the way he like kind of like does a little shrug, like, "You brought her here, like not my fault."
Right. Ugh.
Such a dagger to the heart, but so well done.
Vicious.
It's crazy because thinking back now, he told Yord to take Osha, not his Padawan, to take her out of danger. So
well,
like
Jackie wasn't around. Jackie wasn't around for him to like tell her to. She was still fighting May at that point.
I will say, as much as I'm now here for Yord slander, at least Yord didn't bring his Padawan, because he probably could have. He could have probably brought his Padawan with him, but chose not to. So point for Yord, negative point for Master Soul.
Another point for Yord is getting straight up injured and coming back to the fight.
Yeah.
Well, the one time he doesn't follow the rules, though.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he was trying to avoid his whole life. Let it be a lesson, children.
Yeah, follow the rules. Don't disobey authority. So Soul is kind of questioning Chimere. We get the whole thing about Jackie, and then we get sort of, I guess, a little bit more into the mind of Chimere and why he is the way he is. And the big thing with him is he wishes to use his powers as he sees fit without the Jedi interfering. So he doesn't flat out say he's a Sith, but he says the Jedi might call me Sith. So
yeah,
I'll be curious to see what that means, if it actually does mean he doesn't view himself as a Sith, or if it's just kind of like plot distraction, like he is a Sith Yord.
He just wants religious freedom, that's all.
But going back to the witches on Brendok, this is kind of the same logic that they have, is with the thread and using the thread and training Osha and May. Yeah, is that they want to use the thread, the Force, the way they see fit, not the way that the Jedi say they have to. So maybe another connection to Chimere and the witches, and I feel like there's a lot of interconnectedness going on. Yord dives in, like I said, the one time he disobeys a direct order, dives in to save Soul and kind of come to the rescue, come to the day. Does not go well for him.
It was pretty sick how he picked up that helmet and like used that to surprise him. That was pretty cool. Doesn't help, but
pretty cool. It doesn't do a lot. It is kind of funny how Yord was always like, every time we saw Yord, he always wanted to go head first in. He wanted to, like, when they come in and confront Chimere for the first time, he's coming in, immediately pulls out his lightsaber, like first one into combat, and then he goes out probably in the most non-noble way. Like, at least Jackie like went down fighting. Yord doesn't get a crazy lightsaber fight with Chimere. He doesn't get any over the top noble death. He gets his neck basically just Dunskies.
Murder. Murder.
Like straight up, which that I have never uttered like such a shock before watching Star Wars as I did seeing that, because I never thought that they would go that dark. Like that is, oh boy.
Yeah. I'd elicited another oh my god from me.
I will say the memes, the Yord memes have been quite magnificent.
So it's so sad because the Jackie ones are also really, really good, but it's so sad. Like, I want to laugh, but I don't.
I'm more sad over Jackie than I am Yord, just because Jackie was such a cool character and like seems so much wiser beyond her years. Yeah, and just cut down in her pride. Like right in her prime. So yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot that goes on here. I don't think a lot of people didn't expect any of that with Jecki or Yord. I think the running theory was it was going to be like Sol, Jecki, Yord that all survived this, and then Osha and May.
I thought we might get one main character death, but to have two was like, what?
And only on episode 5. Like,
right. I immediately was like, where do they go from here?
We can roll out season 2, folks.
Yeah.
No, I want season 2, 3, 4, 5, 12. I want all.
I have a feeling that Vanestra Rowe is also going to die this season or this series when she comes into the fray. I think there's a cover up, and I think there's a we don't actually know scenario. I think they're going to try to save the Jedi a little face in this instead of just straight up it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But something's more people are going to die. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Brothers out to kill.
Yeah, this is just the tip of the iceberg, I think, and what's coming for the Jedi. So obviously seeing the sight of his Padawan and also a friend killed, Sol kind of goes full send at Chimere and is able to overpower him. Really kind of embraces that dark side, embraces that anger, gives in, is stopped from killing Chimere by Osha, like mid swing. Here's Osha call out. That's a lot. There's a lot. What did you guys think of this sequence?
I like when the Jedi get angry, when they dip into that dark side, when they know they shouldn't, but they know how powerful. Like, imagine that. Imagine you have this wildly powerful thing that you know if you just dip into these certain feelings, it gets even more powerful. They're better than I am.
Embrace it. That was all I was thinking. I was like, yes, Sol, come.
When Chimere, or let's call him a stranger because he's not Chimere anymore. The stranger had the lightsaber to May's temple.
Wild.
I wanted to see it so bad.
I did too.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I wanted to see it so bad because that would have been even more just like, whoa.
Just sitting there like, do it, pull the trigger, flick the switch.
We have another one, just do it.
You see Palpatine in the background, like, do it. It's like, wait a minute, what are you doing here?
Do it.
I think the coolest thing and the biggest takeaway I had from this final fight between Chimere and Sol, aside from Sol giving into his anger, is we're starting to get even more of that doubt, the seeds of doubt planted in Osha's mind about her master, about Sol. So this specific exchange is the stranger is basically like, hey, look at you. You're giving into your dark side to Sol. And then Chimere says, or Sol says, his mind is twisted by darkness. And then Chimere drops, I think, one of the coldest lines that we've seen in Star Wars is he says, I've accepted my darkness. What have you done with yours?
So good. Ugh. What a well-written character. Sorry.
Can I just say Manny's delivery throughout this whole episode was incredible.
Everything he did this episode was incredible.
Yeah.
Well, also, did you see he did like all his own stunts too?
All his own stunts, the fights, yeah. Incredible.
Which, if you get that jacked, I mean, I would want to do my own stunts too.
Yeah.
If I was in Star Wars, I'd want to do my own stunts.
I know this isn't a regular episode. We don't have a cargo hold, but they did announce today a Black Series helmet of the Stranger. So I'm definitely going to order that tomorrow at 1 p.m.
Okay. So, yeah. Can you send like a group chat alert for that?
I got you, girl.
Absolutely.
But I guess going back to this quote, BP, what do you think is this darkness that is troubling Sol so much? Because it's come up, it hasn't directly come up, but obviously it's there. And his past, and last episode you saw it where he says to Osha that they are going to both have to face their past. So what do you think Sol did in his past that is so bad that A, the stranger knows about it,
yeah,
and B, it's that troubling to Sol?
I'm total guess. I think on Brendock, the point of view we got from Osha of the fire and everyone dying. So we got like a taste of Torben, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Getting his eyes went black and he was under their control.
Yep.
I'm wondering if somebody controlled Soul and he's the one who started the fire and started all this and killing the witches and all that stuff. And I'm wondering if it was him pushed to the dark side and controlled at the same time. I don't think he was like completely controlled. Maybe that's the problem. That's why he's fighting with this so bad.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I think he's obviously done something bad.
Yeah.
But he seems to be okay with it though.
I don't know. I feel like he definitely had a hand in the badness that went down. But whether or not he knows it is so in question.
I wonder if, because we talked about this earlier in the episode about him being able to sense Chimera and or the stranger, whatever his actual name is, he without a name. He was able to sense him leading up to the stranger showing himself. I almost wonder if he felt that same presence on Brendock and maybe associated it with the witches, and kind of, again, I think we talked about this in one of our earlier review episodes, the way that Luke kind of sensed the potential evil in Ben Solo and thought about striking him down just because he didn't want to put the galaxy through that again. I almost wonder if Soul or Indara or somebody felt that same way and decided, let's cut it before it gets too out of control. Let's just end it right now. We don't have to worry about it. We can go about our business and act like this never happened here. And I'd be curious to see if that's what's kind of eating up at him.
That's a good thought. Yeah.
So we'll see. But moving on with the episode, we get this fight, and then going back to the last episode with those creepy crawlies, those Mari's favorite creatures, favorite bugs. They're actually called Umbra moths.
Umbra moths, yeah.
Umbra moths.
They're angry roly-polies.
They are angry roly-polies. They recognize that they're around. So R.I.P. Pip, but not really. Osha takes the head off of Pip, sticks it on Chimera, and then all the roly-poly boys, all the Umbra moths, kind of in a little bit of a goofy way. Like, it's very like slapsticky kind of vibes where they just basically roll in and pick up Chimera and just carry him away.
I was really mad at this point. Like, I was like, if they kill him off with this, I will be livid.
We get this awesome dark side character reveal and then taken out by bugs.
Right. I was not happy. They were
big old bugs.
But
I was very happy when he landed back on the ground elsewhere.
Yeah.
That was like, this cannot possibly, they can't do all this and do that.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. So Chimera's off fighting bugs. So we're left with May, we're left with Osha, we're left with Soul. Soul and Osha are starting to have, Osha wants answers. She's like, what is this guy talking about? What did you do? Tell me the truth. Like, Soul's kind of been hinting, like, when we get back to the ship, I'll tell you. When we do this, I'll tell you. Like, he's kicking the can. The can is no longer being able to be kicked. So she wants answers. As she's waiting for answers, May uses the stun gun, which that stun gun has been used extensively.
Yeah.
It better come with one of the Black Series figures.
It's got. I could see a role playing accessory version of it. I mean, they've been featuring this stun gun, but May uses it on Soul so that she and her sister can talk. I mean, this is really the first time that they've been able to actually talk to each other since the events on Brendock when they were kids. Was there anything that I guess kind of stuck out to you guys in their conversation? BP, we can start with you.
I still feel like one or both of them are still not in complete control of their own minds.
Interesting. What makes you say that?
I just get the sense that neither one of them are in complete control. It just feels like there's something wrong or something's off. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's the same actors playing twins and it's just a weird dynamic. I don't know. Maybe it's that, but I just feel like something's off.
I have the same feeling. Like I can't get it. Like for some reason, it sticks in my head that it's the same actress, and so like when they constantly do the camera shifts to kind of like try and tease the brain, saying like, no, it's not the same actress. They're twins. See how there's different angles. Like it kind of puts me out of the scene, and so it was a little hard for me to focus on the conversation. But I agree that like it seems like neither of them has the actual full story.
Yeah. So I feel like when Osha hears the young May in her head, that, and we've already been told that Kai or the stranger gets in people's heads. It's kind of like a Snoke situation with Kylo and Rey. Like he's controlling or putting memories, quote unquote, into their head or voices or whatever it may be. I just feel like they are not 100% in control.
Yeah.
Well, and they both cling to their points of views of things. So we see this, especially when they're talking, like May still blames the Jedi for everything. May blames the Jedi for taking her sister away. May blames the Jedi for the deaths of their family. Whereas Osha is very like staunch in her beliefs, like blames May for everything. Thinks that May has always been selfish. Everything is about May. Everything is about your destiny and fulfilling your destiny and carrying on the legacy of the witches. So it's interesting that neither one of them seems to kind of stray from their points of view.
Yeah.
But before sort of this part of the episode wraps up, Osha and May kind of have one more go at it. Osha is still determined to bring her sister to justice for her crimes. And I do feel like the way that Osha deals in sort of absolutes, like there's no in between with her. It's either like this is going to happen or this is going to happen. Like I'm either going to get through to May or I'm going to have to kill her. I'm either going to bring her in for her crimes or no. Like there's no, but who else deals in absolutes?
Batman.
Yes. Another thing is that Osha's attachments to her sister, to her family, were a problem when she was trying to become a Jedi. So she's got kind of the same issues that we saw with Anakin to a degree. So I'd be very curious to see, and we can talk about this in a little bit, if that comes back up again and maybe we get a little bit of a role reversal. So they have one more go at it. May uses the Force, the thread, to push Osha, knocks her unconscious, and then steals her clothes and poses as her sister to go find Soul, who then takes her to the ship. Like they're basically like, let's get out of here. A couple things with this. Soul seems a little cautious when he sees May. May also used the lightsaber to cut her hair. She had longer hair, so now they look much more similar, which I feel like is going to be very confusing as we go through, like figuring out which one's which probably is what they intended. But Soul does seem a little cautious to take her hand. And another thing that he says specifically is when May comes back posing as Osha, she says, or he says, "Where is your sister?" He doesn't say, "Where is May?" He says, "Sister." So I almost wonder if he realizes.
I think he says, "Where is she?"
Yeah, and then May
and
says,
then she says, "Who?"
And then
he says, "Your sister."
Your sister.
Yeah.
So I'd be curious if he realized, because they can kind of sense things.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like he didn't immediately. Like maybe he's reeling from the loss of Jackie and Yord, and I don't think that he necessarily has felt that difference yet.
Maybe
it didn't look like he was pausing. That's just to me. It didn't seem.
BP, what do you think?
I feel like he knows. I feel like he does, because the amount of time he spent with Osha. I know they're twins, but I feel like there's got to be a difference that he would know. And the way he asked it, the way he did ask, "Where is your sister?" Basically, that I think that was a reason.
My thinking behind it is, and again, this would be kind of a long play, is if he gets May alone, he knows that he can beat May in a fight. Like he did that back in episode 2 when they were fighting in front of the Jedi Temple after Torben's been assassinated. So I almost wonder if he wants to get May to get answers, more information, because May was prepared to go tell the Jedi everything she knew.
Right.
So I think maybe he does not want to put this investigation to rest. He wants to now, especially since he's lost his Padawan and so many other things. He wants answers, or maybe he wants to cover things up.
It seems like it leaves a lot for him, like for him to just leave Osha. If he does know, he's just leaving Osha there. He doesn't know how she's gonna get out of there. Like, yeah, May said that she's gone, but like, is she safe? Is she all right? Like, so that was just another level of why I feel like, yeah, why I feel like he didn't necessarily realize it at first.
That's fair. So episode wraps up. We get one last shot of Chimere freeing himself from these Umbra Moths, which I'm glad that he came back. I was very happy to see that we're not getting an off-screen death of a major dark baddie. Would have been very sad about that.
Yes.
And then he kind of gathers his stuff, gathers his busted mask, gathers the rest of his robe. Also, his costume design.
Incredible.
Huge fan of it. Immediately need to cosplay it as. He goes to Osha, kind of covers her up, maybe some hint at what's to come, and then we get a little bit, teeny tiny little bit of Kylo's theme at the end. Do either of you think that there's any significance to that? I feel like they wouldn't put it there if there wasn't a purpose to putting it there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they put Palpatine's music in the Naboo celebration for a reason. So, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I guess going into that, sort of piggybacking off of that, do either of you have any crazy theories from this episode? Anything specific related to the Stranger / Chimere, based off of things he said? Possible connection to the Knights of Ren?
I think he might be confused is not the right word. I think he might like both ideologies of Sith and Ren, because he acts like Sith, dresses like Ren.
Yes.
But we also don't know if he's obsessed with the Force or if he's obsessed with the lightsaber, because those are two different things, very different, vastly different things.
Mm.
But the Kylo music strung in, the overall aesthetic, I mean, it can't not be Ren related, right?
That's my thinking with it is maybe he's the template, or I guess the OG, the original.
Yeah.
And then Ren that we get later on, like Ren in the Kylo Ren comics, bases their persona off of this early version of the dark side user, the Stranger, and then Kylo Ren obviously takes that mantle later on.
Yeah, I would agree with that. That's kind of how I was feeling about it too. I am curious to know what his plans are. He has to know that that's Osha.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he can feel that little bit of dark side energy coming out of her, and I'm super curious if he is gonna flip it and be like, oh nope, this is my acolyte right here.
I mean, he said he wanted a pupil, and he can start over with a carbon copy.
Yep.
That he knows is willing to fight, is committed,
trained.
Yeah,
she can't block a force push to save her life. But.
Right.
Happens to the best of us. Listen. Yeah. I'd be very interested, because essentially they've switched masters. Like Osha is now with the Stranger and May is now with Soul.
Yeah.
Whether or not that turns into May turning to the light and Osha turning to the dark, or how that might play out, I think would be really interesting to see. But it is interesting how we've kind of had this dynamic switch between their characters. One last thing before we kind of give our final thoughts on this. Do either of you think that Chimere has a master, or do you think he is the master?
I think he had a master.
Ooh.
Like past tense?
Yeah, had.
Ooh.
That one, you just took me by surprise with that one. I'm going off the assumption he doesn't have one. That's just my feeling. I could be absolutely wrong, but
someone had to teach him how to bleed a kyber crystal, whether it was a master or just a Sith-related person, or I guess he could have found the sacred text.
I think the way I view it is that he's the apprentice. He has a master. Whether or not his master is keeping an eye on him or kind of letting him do his own thing. Because at the same time, like the Sith are trying to stay hidden.
yeah.
So maybe like his master is like, we're going to go do stuff in the shadows. And Chimere's like, nah, I'm going to go take care of some business right now. And oh, by the way, I'm going to go get my own apprentice. Because obviously that's the Sith way. You have a master, you have an apprentice.
Shout out to the Sith for being Polly, you know?
Yeah. Listen, at least the Sith are committed to what they want to do. Like there ain't no deviating from it. You got the master, you got the apprentice, you got the apprentice's apprentice, and then you got a new master.
The one that desires the power.
Yeah.
It's like a big old circle of death.
Circle of death.
So I'd be curious to see if they get more into like sort of the rule of two. I feel like the idea of, a master and an acolyte, a pupil, has been stressed a couple of times. So maybe they get deeper. Obviously, Leslie Headland has dove into a lot of the lore aspect of Star Wars, so I'd be curious to see if we get more of that.
Man, I would prefer he not be a Sith. That throws out the rule of two nonsense. He is Ren, and we get another series called the Knights of Ren, and it's just a group of bad dudes, bad people going around the galaxy just causing havoc, chaos.
Yes,
that'd be so dope. That'd be so dope.
I'm in.
And then Ki-Adi-Mundi isn't wrong about the Sith being extinct for a millennia. They're not Sith; they're just other people. They're like the Nile.
Bad guys. They're just a cool guys, you know.
Just a couple cool cats out there just doing some business in the galaxy. Any last thoughts on where things might go? Obviously, this was episode 5. We've got 3 more episodes this season. Where do either of you have any thoughts on what might shake out, what might pan out?
No, I am genuinely have no idea after this episode because we swapped twins. I still don't know if May wants to be bad or be good. She has a saber. She's pretending to be somebody else. She could have just sabered him in the back. She didn't. Now Basil's on to her. Who knows what Osha's got going on? Chimera seems like he just wants to cause havoc, so he might just mess with her just to be a jerk. So honestly, I have no idea. No clue.
Just along for the ride?
I'm here for the party.
Darth Mari, do you have any wild speculation on what might happen these last 3 episodes?
I don't. I had the exact same feeling at the end of the episode. All 3 times I've watched it today, I was like, where does this go? What happens? There's only 3 episodes. Right. There's only 3 episodes left. Like,
just does Saul call Venestra and say, hey, we got worked. And she's like, okay, we'll set a Teams meeting. They'll wait 4 business days. They'll do the meeting. And she's like, all right, I'm on the way. They fight again.
Right. That's. What about you, Todd? What's your thoughts?
The only thing, I have no idea what's going to happen, really. The only thing that I maybe wild speculation, irresponsible speculation, is that something happens where Osha ends up becoming the Acolyte.
He's so sick.
And so whether that's she kills May, facing her past, and then becomes this Acolyte, this apprentice, or something's going to happen. There's going to be some crazy, I feel like, ending, or like maybe the stranger's master makes an appearance, or just, I feel like there's something is going to happen that's going to be like almost like a Baby Yoda moment from episode 1 of The Mandalorian. Like, I feel like there's going to be something that happens that's going to shake Shivi babes.
Oh man.
Little tiny 6 pound, 3 ounce baby sheaves.
Yep.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of craziness. I think we're gonna get a few more flashbacks. Obviously, we're gonna see what happened on Brendock, and I think that there's going to be just a wild ending, and I think it might end on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I think that's a solid guess.
So
just with how this whole season's gone.
That is the episode. Rating 1 to 10. BP, we'll start with you. Where does this episode rank for you?
10. It was a 10, right? Like everything about this episode was just top notch. So yeah, 10 from me.
Darth Mario, I don't even know why I ask you.
I was gonna say, do you really want to ask me? It's like 20 out of 10. Give on. What do you think here?
3,000 out of 10. How many Darth Joker helmets are you gonna give it?
All of them.
Yeah.
How many did Hasbro make?
Yeah, exactly.
All.
I'll wrap it up. For me, I thought about giving it a 10. I really did. I'm going to give it like a 9.5. And the only reason that I'm not going to give it a 10, no, it's not the bugs. It's still some of the line delivery for me.
Okay.
It's just a little, and I almost feel like, and it's not a knock against any of the actors, but some of the stuff when it's May and Osha at the same time, and I think Ego kind of hinted at it, is just some of the stuff seems a little rough, and I don't know if that's the intention or if that is just how it's coming off, but it just doesn't, it just seems a little off to me. So that's the only reason why I wouldn't give this a 10. It's just some of the line delivery throughout the episode was a little like
if they could cool it on the swipe transitions too, that'd be great.
No, I want more. I want more.
They can't do any more. Soul looks to the right, swipe, left, swipe.
We shall double our efforts.
Yeah. How many swipes do we have? Unlimited. Send them.
That's gonna wrap it up. BP, toss to you for closing remarks.
Yeah, so that's our episode for episode 5 of the Acolyte. So that's gonna like we said, I have no idea where this show is going. I'm very excited to keep watching every Tuesday, if you will. We have been having a lot of fun in our Discord, hearing everyone's thoughts about the show and just Star Wars in general. So join our Discord if you haven't. There's links in our bio on social medias. There's a link in this video down below and in the podcast if you're listening on your phone. Same goes for Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok. If you're on any of those things, follow us there. And if you are enjoying the show, like and subscribe on YouTube. 5 stars, 5 bananas, whatever it is on your podcast you're listening, whatever platform you're listening on, hit us with the top review if you would. That'd be great. Where can folks find y'all on the internets, Darth Mari?
I'm Frosty Britches with a Z at the end of it on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch.
Todd.
I am Todd Knows Best, and it's the nose like the one on your face. And you can find me on pretty much everything. The website formerly known as Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I think that's it. Threads. I don't really use Threads a whole lot.
Oh yeah.
Mostly, most of the time I'm on the website formerly known as Twitter.
There's so many now.
There's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with, but it's a lot of fun. And I'm talking about everything. Thirsting over Chimere's biceps recently. Good times.
That's fair. And I'm BP the Maker on every platform. And Todd and I, for the most part, run the Instagram for Black Squadron and the Twitter. So if you're talking to the Black Squadron, you're talking to one of us. So take a guess who you think you're talking to.
If you see biceps, it's me.
Yeah. But as for our regular program, it's every other Wednesday, and that is available on all podcasting platforms. But until next time, remember, the Force will be with you always.